Oh, we've been waiting for this series, and it begins with Florida State's newest quarterback. That's Thomas Castellanos from Boston College, coming down to Tallahassee, committed this week. And we bring in Warchant's football analyst, lead football analyst Dominic Robinson to Warchant TV to break down the All-22. Dominic, great to see you. I know this is only the beginning because we got to talk coordinators soon as well.
Yes, sir. This is exciting times, man. Nothing bigger than getting your quarterback, and we got a real one right here. So excited to dive into the film, let you know what I've been seeing, and we got Gus coming up after this.
One that kind of makes me mad, but what are we looking at here?
Yeah. So this may have been the moment where Tommy Castellanos' recruitment started. This was early in the game in 2023. One of these things, improvisational, play is going to be so big with your quarterback. Obviously, playing on schedule and all of those things are very important. But when a guy can go to make a play fake and trip, which was interesting, he tripped on back-to-back plays to start this game. Him and the running back were for some reason on the wrong, weren't on the same page. But trips, makes a guy miss, throw the dot. Obviously, that receiver should not be that open. And this was a very good defense that had a very poor performance this week. But you got Jared Verse out there. You see, Fisk is out there. So he's going against some dudes. There's Patrick Payton on the pressure. The guy drops a dot, and this was, like I said, this was probably when Mike Norvell said, wait a minute, we got something with this guy here in the backfield. And it ended up being a problem all night. I believe he threw for over 300 and also had 100 yards rushing in this game. So great play for Tommy to start it off. So here's a run play early. There's a bunch of flags and a bunch of holding going on this play, but I just wanted to illustrate, the short area quickness. A bunch of guys, even guys that are getting held, that are getting off blocks, he's making miss. There's not a lot, going in terms of for BC here in terms of making blocks. And, there's a lot of short area quickness. The guy's really, really explosive with the ball in his hands. And as good of a runner as he is, which he is a great runner, he's very patient. He doesn't just tuck it and go, too soon or when he shouldn't. He when he goes, it's because there's a lane there and you're going to get creased, as you can see here. I didn't like that he obviously I'm a wideout, so I didn't like that he didn't throw this ball right here. But that is right now that guy is in pretty good coverage position. It's not until this point where the wideout shoulder's now in front of the DB, and now he probably has an advantage. At this point, Tommy's already decided to tuck it and run. But just watching, in terms of this progression, and as an offensive coach, you get exactly what you want with this safety coming down, which you got to have him because of the threat of run from the quarterback. So this, to me, from an offensive standpoint, this is the one-on-one I want, and I got it. The middle safety's not getting there. I want to see my guy go ahead and go and make a play here. We should be able to make this throw. But the run, again, is electric, and you can never go broke making a profit. You're in the red zone. Now you're in the tight red zone. You got a first down. There's a lot good here. So you're probably nitpicking if you're going to, get mad at a guy for a 15-yard run in this situation.
Well, that safety coming downhill is a function of the fear of the legs. It changes the scheme.
Absolutely. And that's a big point to make here, is that if you don't do this, where 38 is coming down here, you're going to be in absolute peril in terms of you're going to leave 15 right here with probably the best athlete on the field. So you got to bring him down. And that's something that I believe, Coach Norvell and Gus Malzahn are going to really force teams to, you're going to have to account for him. You're going to have to account for his legs. And when you do, that leaves, a lot of passing lanes open. And so this is a perfect example of that. That safety comes down. There's a lot of space for him to throw the ball, and he still is able to get a 15-yard gain when you're really in a good call defensively. We're going to kind of get into some of the stuff that, I believe just watching both Gus Malzahn and his future or his past games, watching Coach Norvell and then watching Tommy, I think we're going to see a good dose of this, where the back is either leaving the backfield in a leave or an exit motion, and you're going to have to decide if that linebacker takes off, if they're in man coverage and that linebacker takes off, you're going to leave a lot of running lanes open. Now, again, you've got a first-round draft pick here at defensive end, and is that Renardo Green?
Yep.
8?
Yep, sure is.
So you've got two very good players here, and he comes off this time they make a play, but most of your opponents aren't going to make this play. You see how open that box is. I can promise you, and maybe even in this game specifically, we're coming back to this because that's just an extraordinary play, and a kind of a lucky call because you're bringing a cat corner here.
Yeah,
and if that cat corner's not coming, he gets inside of Jared Verse here, and there's nothing but green grass. So, right here, Adam Fuller won the chess match, but I'm putting a little tick mark on my play sheet, and I'm coming back to that. We're going to exit motion and run our quarterback draw or quarterback counter if I want to add a guy to block that corner, who's adding right here. So you see, if I run counter, this guy would then be coming back, and now I could pick up whichever person adds from here.
Yep.
And so now we're 1 for 1. We're a hat for a hat, and again, I got my best athlete on the field with the ball. This was a really good, really good scheme, really good call, and again, that's why you recruit good players, because in that case, you got a good player made a really good play. Again, so another thing you're going to see with Gus going forward, I'm watching a lot of Auburn 2017, 2019, is he loves to overload sides and then see how you're going to handle that. So right here, there's 5, receiving threats, potential receiving threats are all on one side of the field. You see a lot of that when I'm watching, when I'm watching Gus Malzahn. He really likes to overload the field, see how you're going to handle it. And obviously, if you're too heavy to that side, then he'll run counter or some sort of jet sweep back the other way. And if you are, and if you just play it straight up, then he can obviously go to the overloaded side. So here's that exit motion again. You overplay it. You send too many guys to the field, which is, you watch the linebacker number 4 here, push, push, push. So that's a push call, which tells our zone droppers that we're going to push in the direction of the exit motion. This guy's going this way. This guy's going this way. So all these zone droppers are heading in this direction. And again, you've got a great athlete who's going to recognize that. And there's nothing but grass and opportunity back to the right side. Get a huge explosive play right here. Okay, so another thing you're going to see is look at how quickly these guys are looking to the sideline. The second he goes out, this will be a staple of what I think Gus Malzahn is going to want to do, that Norvell has kind of gotten away from, is playing incredibly up-tempo. And Tommy has phenomenal feel for it and does it really well. There's so many plays where I'm watching him post-play, and you would think he wants to celebrate or do something, and he's like, boom, his eyes are right back to the sideline. But look at how these guys, they're getting signals. They're ready to go. They're ready to play fast after an explosive. I'm sure that, the coaches watch this and were prepared for, okay, that was part of their evaluation process, was we're going to be able to play fast with this guy. Mm-hmm. So again, Gus Malzahn loves an overload. You're going to see overload. This is something you may see this exact play. You're going to see an overload to the field. And as soon as those guys push, this guy's going to take off, and a great opportunity for an explosive play. So this is the SEC championship. I think one of the things to also mention is there's a balance formation that goes to an overload. Okay, so once you get really good in the offense, this is Jared Stidham, I believe in his second year in the offense. And so now you start not just overloading and lining up in it, but you start to line up in a balanced formation and then make a team adjust to the fact that now we've got four potential threats to the field. And then that's just with the shift. Now with the motion, now we've got five coming to the field. We got five potential threats coming to the field side. In this case, they just run a jet sweep. It's the same sort of principle, though. If I'm going to get you to overplay this, and this guy can run this ball, whether it's counter back here or some sort of fake jet sweep, and then quarterback, outside zone, back this way, because you're going to overplay. There's so many guys over here. That's something that they're going to really use that space to their advantage. And you'll see it in the Gus Malzahn breakdown. This is a similar concept that you're going to see. There'll probably be a whole section, 10, 15-minute section of just Gus overloading one side and either running to the overload side or throwing to the overload side, and then working a counter back. Also, a bunch of gadget plays. So if you like gadgets, you're going to love Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, I believe that. You can tell even in that one play, I look forward to the breakdown, but he's setting 4 plays up out of that. He can run 4 different things, and it's all
absolutely. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You got an overload here to the left side. This is the play where Adam Fuller got him with the chess match. He brought the cat corner and was able to get him. Just to assure that wasn't going to happen, this time they actually ran counter instead of draw, coming back to the field, and it absolutely creases for a 45-yard run, explosive, when you've got them dead to rights here, backed up on the 5-yard line, and just in one play you're already in plus territory. So big time play, big time call. And, big time player, explosive player here.
And he exposes indecisive linebacker play. Yeah,
absolutely. Even got the film guy a little bit with the fake, right. But there's a good explosive run there. So, and then again, the things that you can do off of that, are pretty infinite, like you said, in terms of what Gus likes to do. So now we're going to overload the field. Every time that we've overloaded it, we've run the ball. Every time that we've exit motioned, we've either run it or thrown a screen. So now you can see the outside guys are actually sort of showing screen. There was a different play where it was even more pronounced, where the number 1 and number 2 receivers were really showing like they were going to block these corners to make them think that they're throwing this swing screen here to the back. These guys would just kind of jog off here, and then now this guy is just going to gash you. But here now, because you're 4 strong, you've got 4 receiving threats. Most secondaries aren't used to, you practice 3-by-1 and 2-by-2. You don't practice 4 by nothing very often, if ever. So this is where they try to gain an advantage. They got exactly what they wanted, and the tight end here just doesn't make a play. But this was an absolute dot. And again, you can see his patience in the pocket. He's not in a rush to get out, and it's not necessarily that he's pressured here. But you can see he's really composed and throws an absolute dot. And this was the one thing that I love about this. Whenever I evaluate quarterbacks or offensive systems, I love to go to third and longs, because it really shows you sort of the trust that the coordinator has in the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And and then it shows you how the quarterback's going to handle it. And this is you couldn't have handled it any better, from a quarterback standpoint, and standing in there delivering the ball, and guy doesn't make a play, but good call, good execution, from the quarterback standpoint. And just talking about his intangibles, again, like I said on the last clip, one thing that you just see time and time again is just composure. Although he has this twitch to his game, he certainly is very quick, he's very explosive. He never seems to be in a rush. It sort of reminds me of Kyler Murray a lot, in that you never feel like Kyler's playing, exceptionally hard, but he's always moving faster than the guys that are going after him. So it doesn't look cumbersome or hard for him to play the game. Tommy makes the game look easy. I love seeing this where he gets hit here, his guy makes a big play, he hops up, you see this, this emotion, you can see him back here celebrating. He plays with some fire, but it's not out of control. You see on a lot of plays when they're not going tempo, you see him celebrating his teammates, celebrating the play that they made. But there's a level of composure that I really like, to stand in here with the, first round defensive end, right in his face, deliver the ball, and then get up and show some moxie and some confidence. Maybe even a little bit of cockiness, celebrate there on a big play. Here's a 4th and 1 where they're, in their territory. This is nothing, in terms of quarterback play, but this is what I'm talking about. There's one guy on a football field that gets more eyes more consistently, than anyone else on the field, and it's the quarterback. Everybody on defense has their eyes on you. Everybody in the stands has their eyes on you. When you emit this level of confidence, without crossing the line, it does something to your whole football team. Every defensive player is standing on the sideline right now, especially because it's 4th down and where this ball is. Every player on the sideline now is looking at him, and he's, and he's showing some emotion, showing some passion, showing that he's excited, showing that this matters. That does something to your team, to your football team. And so I left that clip in there, even though it had nothing to do with his actual ability, but I thought that was really important to show his intangibles. The eyes will be on your quarterback. And when you have a guy like Jordan Thomas, or Jordan Travis, sorry, when he's behind center, he has the most eyes, and that means something. That is the face and going to set the tone for your football program.
I can tell you real quick, Dominic, that they had the punt team out. They called it timeout, and they came out with the offense too. So that's the culmination of something behind the scenes where, hey, it's coach, give me the ball, trust me with the ball. It's early in the game too, so there was a conversation, and it's another part of it. Are you just going to walk to the sidelines and not lobby, or are you going to lobby to keep the ball?
And that's something. I'm telling you, that's something, and that's a part of when you sign a guy up. It's a part of when you recruit a guy. That's a part of when you decide between two guys that maybe are battling it out. That plays into it, and people don't always notice, or always know. It's not always just about the guy who throws the 50-yard go ball well. There's a certain, again, confidence that comes when this guy's under center. I know we have the best competitive chance, the best competitive opportunity to be the best version of ourselves. And it affects everybody, your special teams players, your kicker, your punter, the way that the guy calls defense, the coordinator calls defense. It affects everybody in the building. And so you want that guy. You want that guy saying, hey, no, give me the ball on 4th and 1. We're going to get this, And it's not that he's going to always be right, and it's not that he's always going to make the play, but the fact that that level of belief is important. It means something. So now we'll get into a couple dimes. Delivering the ball. This is these are some dropbacks. There might be a couple. This is a similar concept that we ran a good amount this year. If you watch any of my breakdowns, we would go formation into the boundary and throw this screen to the short side into the boundary. And oftentimes you would have a one-on-one to the field. And I was pretty critical of the ball not going back there ever. Because that's one way that you stop guys from jumping that screen, the screen that's happening up here. One way that you stop guys from just shooting this is either, having these guys release vertically and throwing it to them there, or you just exploit your matchup, backside. And the times that we tried, we weren't able to do it. And a lot of times we just didn't even try. So this was really nice. Little deliver the ball. The middle safety that's closing the field does a really good job here, and is a factor on the play. And the fact that he gave him a ball where he can protect himself and go down and catch this ball instead of making him reach up and expose his ribs is an undervalued, underrated part of quarterback play. Is letting your receivers know you're going to take care of them. They'll play harder for you. And so this was a really good job. You can see really good eyes here. He hadn't decided already that he's going to throw the ball, to the field side. He stayed on the boundary side long enough to let the middle safety get there. And then he delivered a ball that allowed his receiver to protect himself. Here was another drop back opportunity where they ended up, this tackle absolutely get whiffs here. Does a terrible job.
Jeez.
He gets out on a scramble drill and throws a perfect ball.
That looks familiar to Florida State.
Unfortunately, it not only does it end up being incomplete, but it ends up being an interception on a ball that hits a guy in between the 8 and the 0.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Tough play, but that's really good quarterback play there. That's how you end up transferring to a different school the next year. It's plays like that. Very similar, or not similar. Very familiar concept here. Just running, RPO glance. This is to a nub or a tight end. In this case, we typically would run it to the X receiver on a condensed split. So it's, it's the same read. I just wanted to show, this is this is Florida State, or at least Florida State under Norvell, RPO glance. I've done many breakdowns on that. And this is as good of a ball as you could ask for on the RPO glance. Great read, great ball. So now we're getting into, a couple of throws that are ill-advised throws. The thing that Tommy's going to have to cut down on is putting the ball in danger. And, usually that's always going to be a problem with the guy that's a supreme athlete that's highly competitive, is they feel like they can make every play. And you're going to have to teach them and coach them on when it's okay to just be in 2nd and 10, instead of giving the other team an opportunity to have the football. So a lot of play action stuff in the former offense that he was in, a lot of play fake and boots, which is a little bit harder to find your read as you got to get your head around. And if there is pressure, but there's nothing there. There was no reason for him to throw this ball and throw it where he threw it here. And he gave us a cheap one right here.
A couple of guys in the same area too, schematically. It's a rough play.
Yeah, yep, for sure. So here was a absolute head scratcher. I have no clue how this ball ended up where it ended up. I'm guessing he anticipated that the wide receiver was going to take a high angle, and I literally just realized this. The wide receiver's shoe falls off.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Top of the screen. At the 50-yard line.
His wide receiver shoe falls off. And I believe and now that I'm thinking about it, he's thinking that this guy's going to take this angle
Because he's got inside leverage?
because of the decisions should be made, by now, that if my shoulder is in front of his shoulder, I'm taking it high.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, then I'm going here. And
Right.
so that's the wideout is making a decision, and the quarterback here is assuming that he's just going to go high. But he can't go high if he doesn't have that position where his shoulder's on top of his. But the ball is out before he makes his break, which is what you want. You want him to anticipate, but he should have anticipated low angle and not high angle. So that's what happened here. This isn't just an errant throw, if you watch the DJU breakdown where you just have this head scratching errant throws where the ball just would get away from him. This isn't that. This is just a misread or misunderstanding between himself and the wide receiver, understanding the angle of the break. And this was the last of the head scratchers. Now this was a little bit more, it was on the tight. You can see this was a little bit more like the DJU misses that we had from his like Clemson times. And I just realized that ball went off a helmet. I didn't know that it went off a helmet.
What do you think about his mechanics and footwork and all those kinds of things that you see?
There's going to be some work done there. He's actually very quick with his feet, which I think would affect the timing. Mm-hmm. When you don't know the offense, and how the offense is taught, some coaches don't marry the quarterback's footwork with the wide receiver's footwork and timing. They more so think about yardage. Mm-hmm. So you're going to make this break at this yardage, where other coaches can be incredibly specific about you are not on time because of your footwork. So, I don't know exactly how he was coached, but when I'm watching, I definitely see that it feels like there's some work to be done in terms of his footwork, and he just tends to be pretty quick. But what I do like about it is he's also patient. He's not leaving. He's not quick and then leaving the pocket. Right. He's quick, but he's just early to kind of see or make the read. So here's a good little red zone concept here. And you can see him really go through his progressions here. I really like this play here. So what they were trying to do was they were looking at the one-on-one matchup first, okay, on your fade, because there's, he's on a solo side. And then they're running back mesh. I believe it's this guy. And then this guy's going to be your spot or your over the ball. And then you're going to get a post from here. So, that's the mesh concept that I broke down way early in the season. I believe it's Georgia Tech. We were getting a heavy dose of mesh in the first 2 weeks of the season. That's essentially what they're doing here, but they're doing it with the running back. So you can see him work his progression really well from left to right. He's going fade. Nope. He's coming off the fade. Now he's checking the mesh. Nope. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like the over the ball. Now he's going to the post, and there's the ball. Really, really good job here. Fade. Don't like it. Mesh. Don't like it. Which, to be honest, the mesh was there.
Yeah.
You can see the guy coming from the field. Well, really both guys.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The guy coming to the running back has leverage, and the guy coming to the field, has it. But I believe he probably was looking at the over the ball because it's a touchdown right here. He's looking at this guy.
because the over-the-top safety is the one in conflict.
Because that guy's in conflict, and he's seeing these jerseys, which is taking him off of the mesh guys, even though the mesh guys have leverage, and they should win. I'm sure a lot of quarterbacks do. When you get down here near the paint, it really affects your eyes. You really want to try and get there. You don't think about the catch and run. This guy's going to score if you can get it to him. But I really liked watching him again go through that progression. Fade, mesh, ball. And then throws a good ball on top of it. And then after scoring, showing some emotion, celebrating, nothing too crazy, but definitely letting your team know, hey, we're here for the fight. And this game they were actually down and he didn't start. So he brought his team back here from down, I think, 21-7. So they're playing NIU at home, and the other quarterback started this game. And this was early in his career, I believe, because this is 2023.
Yeah, this is pre-Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Another example of a good ball, giving a guy a chance. They're going up, what I call post rail. This is actually one of my favorite concepts that I really love. It's really just a flood concept, and you typically gonna get this rail route. That number 2, you're gonna get him here if he can get this ball up just a little bit sooner, instead of having to throw a jump ball here. But still, this is a good ball that's dropped in that should have been caught. Again, exit to empty, and you just see the patience. Like I said, before, it would have been, if I'm as athletic as Tommy at this point here, if I don't like that number 13 here flashing in the middle of the screen, I'm probably just taking off. All right, there's plenty of lanes to take off, and there's plenty of guys that you can beat. But he doesn't do that. He stands in there. He's still looking to deliver the ball, and even when he goes to run, he delivers the ball. Get yourself a nice first down. You're in, from the tight red zone to get inside the 20.
It's a hallmark of a quarterback that I like, Dominic, which is eyes down the field even when they're breaking the pocket. They don't. The eye level doesn't drop. That to me screams confidence, and the game's slow.
Yeah, that's again, when I watch him, I feel that. And it's like I said, if you ever watch Kyler Murray, you can feel, you're just like, oh man, it doesn't look hard. He looks confident, he looks comfortable, he's not worried. He's not a big guy, so you would think he'd be jittery back there and worried that the big guys are coming after him. And he again, that's those intangibles that I'm talking about. Here's a nice little back shoulder throw. Again, ball's on the 20, you're approaching the red zone. There, you couldn't put it in any better spot. It would be really, really nice to see him, drop a couple of these in next season. That's as good of a ball as you can ask. That should be a touchdown. Ball ends up on the turf.
We don't want to talk about drops too much around here.
So this was probably my favorite throw, and I should comment on what you said. You go get your quarterback, that's huge. There's got to be playmakers. I did a breakdown on it. The winning one-on-ones is important.
Yep.
You're going to have to do it. The guy's going to deliver the ball. We feel like we got the guy that's going to deliver the ball. None of it matters if you don't make the play in the end. We got to have guys that are going to do that. This was maybe my favorite throw. The ball is on the left hash, near the 50. There's just a lot of patience, a lot of footwork, and you couldn't put it in a better spot. I mean, this is a great, and again, going back to the Kyler Murray analogy, this ball just shoots out of his hand. This doesn't look like it's, he makes that throw look a lot closer than it actually is. that's a deep ball throw
Yeah.
for most guys. I mean, he is pushing that ball a very long way. That's a 50-yard throw that he's not only throwing with some velocity, but putting it in a place where that can only be caught by one person. So that was one of my favorite throws. And then on the very next play, they go formation into the boundary. They fake the screen. And instead of going back shoulder here, because now this guy's got he's in a shoulder in front position. He lets him separate and goes and catches the ball. And I believe this was the touchdown that tied the game. They were down 21-7 when he came in. And that was the second touchdown to make it 21-21. Big time throw, big time ball. And then the last play, if you haven't seen it, it's one of the craziest, ridiculous football plays. You can see it's 4th and 5. So this was a little earlier in the game. They're down 7-21. So this is essentially the game. There's 8 minutes left, 9 minutes left. If they turn over the ball here, it's curtains. Game's over. NIU decides to bring 6-man pressure. Can't get it blocked.
Oh boy.
And Tommy decides, have you ever played Madden on on rookie mode? He decides to turn it on rookie mode. He runs back almost 35 yards, makes 2 guys miss. He's now run about a 75 yards and then delivers a dot.
Midfielders in soccer know what that's about.
Yeah, the amount of ground that he covers on this play is ridiculous. The fact that you can do this in a real football game, not a video game or not in the yard, playing with your little brother's friends, is insane. These are other grown men. He's got the refs running like crazy. Look at the refs trying to get out of the way. They've never seen a ball this far back. They've never had a ball behind them. Look at this guy. Look at this ref. He's so confused.
Yeah,
Like,
where
how
do
do I what are my mechanics here? I have no clue. He's making guys miss. And then in the end ends up, giving his team a first down. And remind you, this is 4th and 5, essentially for the game. So
yeah,
that's what I got on Tommy. I'll probably do another breakdown a little bit more in depth, tying Coach Norvell and some of the things that Florida State had done. But I really wanted to introduce you guys to our new quarterback. He's a stud. He's a very good player. Whatever you didn't know, I hope I was able to clean up what you know now. And now I'll kind of dive more deeper into the specifics of the scheme that he was in, the scheme that he will use, the scheme that, Gus used. And you'll have a better understanding once you see the Gus breakdown of how does Tommy fit. But that's who he is. And hopefully that's a good introduction.
Yeah, it is. It's comprehensive. I would say, just to close out, you were not shy when breaking down Brock Glenn's first performance and looking at Luke Kromenhawk and saying, this guy's a backup and this guy is a third stringer. He is a freshman who's coming along. I like, first of all, personally, that I've got a guy who can run for his life if need be, because this offensive line has scarred me, Dominic, and they need to get better there. So you're going to have that, even with some nominal improvements on the offensive line. But just when you plug him in versus a Brock versus a Luke, what say you about what Florida State can do?
Well, I hope that just showed. I mean, there's no question about it. He's a 1. It's not even if those guys were still here, there's not a quarterback competition. This is a 1. You got yourself a 1. I don't think there's any question. You can see it. Again, just even if you just watch his mannerisms and check his intangibles without his performance, you're like, okay, this is an alpha. So yeah, I'm. You got yourself a guy. You're gonna have to have other pieces. He's not Cam Newton. He's not going to carry a whole team or, anything like that. But as you can see, when things break down around him, he's certainly not going to panic. He's not going to fold. He's going to look you dead in the eye, and he's going to compete his tail off. So the guy's an athlete, which you can't put a value on having your best athlete touch the ball on every play.
Yep.
If he's going to be the most athletic player on the field, it's great to know every play is going to start with his hands on the ball. So you don't have to depend on him to get it to somebody else. So that should be good for something. And then if you can actually find people for him to get the ball to, now you're really cooking with grease, and you can really do some things. So, this is a phenomenal start, on top of the coordinator pickups. But in terms of player acquisition, there's nothing you can do without the quarterback. You got to have the guy, and you got one here.
I like that in the middle of it, we had just a taste of Gus Malzahn's offense and some of the concepts that you saw with BC's offense preceding Bill O'Brien, who's more pro style. I'd be interested to see if there's anything he learned in the pro style stuff, because he was 18-5 touchdowns, interceptions this year for Boston College. But all that and more is coming to the channel here. Dominic Robinson's breakdowns of Gus's offense, Tony White's defense. You get to take a look at maybe is there an offensive line difference in terms of scheme. There's so much to sort through that it's going to get super fun here on Warchant TV over the next month to 2 months. So, Dominic, we appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll talk to each other probably once more before the holidays, so I don't need to wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays just yet.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun off season. It's going to be a lot. We're going to have a lot of work cut out for us, but that's a good thing. We're going to have a lot of good things happening with the Noles, and so excited to break it all down and introduce these guys to you, all these guys signing up.
Check out the channel right now. Coverage top to bottom, coaching changes, transfer portal, recruiting, and now, of course, all 22 dives. We'll talk to you next time right here on Warchant TV.